Might have to click it a bit more clickery.
Technical term.
So, good evening and welcome everyone. It's really, really lovely to see you here on this call. So this was our follow-up, is our follow-up call for the 5 days self-love challenge that we did. But obviously, anyone's welcome to join us because we love people all the time. And the first thing that we wanted to say, we were just talking about it before we came on this call, you guys were brilliant in that. In those 5 days, it was just so lovely to see the interaction, to have you join in, to have you comment, and some of the beautiful things that came out of that. It was just brilliant, wasn't it? We had a great time, and it was lovely. And it's lovely to see the really nice support that's going on in that group, because it is really horrible when you're having one of those days, isn't it, and it feels like there's no one there. And I think that group is becoming a really lovely supportive group for people to join in. So if anyone is either watching the recording or on here that doesn't know about it, the group, it's our Facebook group, Dare to Be You, with the purple heart at the end of it. And we do lots of fun, challengey things we have going on in there. So if you want to join in and be a part of those challenges, join the group and join us, because it's always fun.
Yeah, there's tons going on. And if you didn't see, or even if you did see some of it, all of the posts are still in the group, so you can go and see kind of what people shared. And it was amazing. Like, kind of, we set the challenges and we always join in with them ourselves and then ask everybody else to join in. And it was just amazing. It blew us away how interactive people were, how engaged they were, what people got up to and what they shared. It was absolutely incredible. And I think because it's the third 5-day challenge we've done, and I think each time it's gotten more and more, but this by far has kind of blown us out of the water. Really kind of made us smile every day, everything that was kind of coming through. So that's kind of we just wanted to start with a massive thank you for being so enthusiastic about it.
And one of the reasons that I absolutely love challenges, anyone who knows me very well at all knows that's how I play with deepening my understanding. I just love to kind of say, well, what happens if? And then what happens if I do this? What happens if I do that? It's kind of like, we've got a scientist in our midst here, haven't we? And that's kind of the game you play, isn't it? You test things, you try things.
What if I drop this into...
how does gravity work? What happens if I drop my... No, I won't drop my glasses. But what happens if we do this? And does it happen every time? And, what's my response when I do that? And can I do something different? So I just think, for me, it's a really nice playground to kind of, it makes me aware of things when people, some of the challenges, have you noticed this? What happens for you when you think this, do this, say this, whatever. It makes me aware of myself much more. And one of the things that we talk about a lot is getting to know yourself, because this journey, this experience, this whatever it is we're pointing towards, whatever it is we're talking about here that words cannot express, it has a very personal side to it. When we get together in a group and we talk about this, sometimes words won't gel for certain people because of the fact that we have our own version of reality going on, and sometimes things don't make sense. What makes perfect sense to me might not make sense to you. So I think that, playing around with little challenges and playing around with these kinds of things, you get to know you see stuff for yourself, you get an experience of this. And I know, like Beck said, we were blown away by how many of you joined in. And I really think we were at the retreat over the weekend, and one of the things that came up, we were chatting about when it wasn't in this challenge, I think it was in the challenge before, when I gave away my jumper. We asked you to look at what it was like to give away something that meant something to you, what that felt like, actually giving away something that meant something to you. Didn't have to be the most important thing in your entire life, but just, and we were actually talking about it over lunch today. Beck had got a Cadbury's cream egg, and they're her favourite thing in all the world. And I kind of said, could you give that away? And she, no, I don't think so. And it's really, it's very, very easy when we talk in this way to imagine yourself in that situation and imagine what you would feel like and what it might be like. But to actually do it, brings up, you know, it's a whole different arena when you actually have an experience of something. You know, the idea of giving away my jumper was completely different to when I actually saw it go, you know. It was a whole different experience, and it's really, really interesting, I think, to play like that, and to see and actually take part in the challenges, because it definitely kind of it takes it to a whole new level when you actually participate and do something, because as human beings we are really, really good at imagining what things will feel like, and how we think we know how we're going to react, and we think we know how we're going to feel, and then when, you know, something actually happens, it's it can be a whole different ball game.
Yeah, and I know, like, over the course of the 5 days when we were doing the self-love challenge, the two kind of really key messages that we were sharing were around thought, and, you know, the fact that we think and that we will feel what we think. And it's a really, really simple thing, and there are so many places where you can just see it and it's really obvious, but there are also those places where it's not so obvious and we get really tripped up by it. So for me, it's one of those things I love coming back to just being reminded that we feel what we think. And so we were looking at that a lot over the 5 days. And then the kind of other thing we point to a lot is that beyond those thoughts, beyond the thinking that we're having, there is something about us that's unchangeable and undamaged. And that's another one of those things that I absolutely love coming back to, because that was massive for me. I didn't know that about myself. When Deb kind of first shared with me about thoughts and feelings, I could kind of see that. Yeah, I kind of got a feel for that. And yeah, I can see that can happen. But the kind of deeper truth of who I am, the kind of beyond that thought, beyond those thoughts and those stories about myself, there was something about me that was perfect and okay. Really? You sure, Deb? Have you met me? And actually starting to explore that was really precious to me. And for me, that for me is the self-love thing. Like, actually knowing that beyond my thinking, I'm perfectly whole and complete, really opened up this opportunity for me to love myself more, to be kinder to myself, because I hadn't been. I didn't like myself very much. I wasn't very kind to myself. And, you know, as often happens when we don't like ourselves and we aren't kind to ourselves, we can't be kind to other people. We don't put out very nice things when we're internally not very nice to ourselves. And so as I started to see that, you know, not only did I feel my thinking and didn't have to believe that thinking, but I was also okay beyond that thinking, it just, I don't know, something in me opened up and was like, oh, so I can be nice to myself. I'm likable, I'm lovable, I can be kind. And it just, I don't know, that was something that came to me within, I think, the first year or so of having this conversation. And it really changed something for me. Prior to that, had lived in anxiety for a long time. I'd got into very unhealthy relationships. I'd physically lost a lot of weight. I'd eaten myself up from the inside out because of it. And just as this started to become clearer to me, that I was perfectly okay beyond those stories, and when I saw that I didn't have to believe them, I really got in touch with that okayness in me. And a kind of the natural byproduct of that was I was just kinder and more loving to myself. I just saw myself for who I truly was, as opposed to this story I'd made up about being an anxious, nervous, useless wreck, and no good to anyone, and not likable and not lovable. I started to see that wasn't true. And I really kind of had a huge insight around it. And funnily enough, I was saying at the retreat at the weekend, I had this huge insight that for me was around self-love. And yet when I look back now, because I wrote blogs every day for quite a long time, when I kind of look back on those blogs, I can't find anywhere that I wrote about self-love, which is really interesting, because to me it looked like that was all I was seeing and everything that was happening for me. And yet, for whatever reason at the time, sort of 5 years ago, that perhaps wasn't the words I would have put on it. But kind of revisiting that over those 5 days was amazing for me. And I think, you know, from what I can tell, for other people, it was amazing for them too. There was a lot of sharing happening and a lot of really sweet kind of insights and such over those 5 days. So it was just, just a really nice time for me to come back and look at it all again and go, oh yeah, it's still true. There's still a part of me that's okay and perfect beyond the thinking that tells me otherwise.
What I really loved, one of the things that I saw a long time ago around the self-love stuff, was that how much it benefits other people when we care about ourselves. Because during the time when I was really, really struggling, I wasn't a very good mom to my children. I wasn't great in that arena. I struggled and suffered with it a lot, and didn't find it easy to be a good parent, and all sorts of things were going wrong. And then when I came across this understanding, when I kind of sorted myself out and got better at that, I felt really, really bad for the years when I hadn't shown up very well for my children. I felt really bad for the bad things I'd done in my life. And there's no getting away from it, that, for quite a long time, I wasn't great, and I didn't do great things. And it felt to me, I went through a phase when I was kind of sorting myself out and getting better, and it made sense to be nice to myself, and that's what I was learning all about. And then all this stuff was coming back, with what a bad person and what a useless person I'd been for a long time. And I really kind of went downhill with the whole being nice to myself, and really sort of thought, I'm not worthy of love, and I'm not worthy, and I certainly didn't like myself and didn't want to be nice to myself. And the people who were around me when I'd kind of been sorting myself out and getting better and was feeling better about myself, they were the people that kind of came to me then and sort of said, please don't go down that road again. Please don't stop being like this. If you continue, if you punish yourself for the behavior, from before, you're punishing us as well. And I really saw that when we don't kind of show up in the world as the best version of who we are, other people suffer too. And it's like that saying, isn't it? Treat people how you would like them to treat you. And it also goes the other way. Treat yourself the way that you would like to be treated, and you would like to treat other people. It's all connected when you are being good to yourself, because as human beings, or that deeper part of us, because we are all connected. When we are unkind and unloving towards ourselves, we are unkind and unloving towards other people too. When we take that attitude towards ourselves, some of the times I would look at how I treated myself and thought I would never treat another person like that. The way that the voice in my head used to really be cruel and cutting and awful to me, I would think, if someone else spoke to me like that, I would hate that. It would be really hurtful and horrible. And yet I would kind of be agreeing with this voice and think that it had a point, and think that it was right, and think that it was me. And it was a revelation to me to know that I didn't have to listen to that voice. And the less that I listened to it, the less that I put up with that kind of stuff going on, the less it showed up in that way. And so kind of learning to love myself like that, I've seen that it's a win-win. When you treat yourself, nicely, you're nicer to other people benefit. So it's not one of those, very much I felt like I deserved to be punished. And then I just saw that actually punishing ourselves punishes other people. And when we have that attitude to other people, when we punish other people, that's when we talk about forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't about other people, it's about you. It's all built in. When we show up, the nicer and the kinder we show up, the more the entire world benefits. There's no place to kind of just put more unkindness and horribleness. Who wants that in the world? We all just want more love and more connection and more niceness. It's really, it's really good for us, and it's good on all levels when we do that. So
I wondered whether to just see if anyone has got anything from the 5-day challenge that they wanted to
or
ask,
just from
or share,
this conversation tonight,
or anything really. Us, we'll talk. So if you've got anything you kind of wanted to share about that,
so you can either unmute yourself or can you unmute yourself, Inez, or do you want us to?
How's that? Can you hear me?
Oh, we can hear you.
Oh, lovely to be here. Lovely to see so many people. So I was thinking, like, I put as one of my things last week, Was it last week?
The week before.
Yeah. Was how angry I can be. No one sees that, and everyone thinks I'm really chilled out. I'm really zen and chilled. And
You look like you've got a few people nodding in the group. Those places we hide of ourselves.
yeah, and just angry about everything, you know.
Mm.
Yeah, and just like the injustice, not fair for anyone, and you know,
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah, just crazy, really. Yeah.
But I think being aware of that and knowing that is the first step, isn't it? You know, it's huge, because for me, when I used to get into bad moods or things like that, I thought that was how it should be. You know, I thought
Yeah.
I thought I was justified, and I thought that was right and how
Yeah.
I should be. And what I started to see at first when I came across this understanding is how that affected me when I did that, and how that affected the people around me when I got affected in that way. And so I just kind of got curious about that.
Mm.
And then I started to look at those things that I thought were injustices and unfair. And what it looked to me was, you know, when if it seemed like other people or things in the world were acting, you know, were being that way, were being unjust and being unfair, me putting more anger out into the world about that was adding to the problem, not solving it. You know, it kind
Yeah.
of it just hit me that me being upset and pissed off and annoyed and angry with myself or with other people just put more anger and upset out. And it was kind of like getting curious of, is there another way? And one of the things that we've been talking about a lot lately is how much the universe comes to meet you when you get curious about seeing something different. This isn't all on you. You know, we're on this call and we're talking about self-love, and, you know, if you're there, well, you know, I don't find it that easy. This isn't a huge task that is set to you, you know, and you've got to do it. You've got to step up. What we are seeing more and more is if you just take one doable step in that direction and just get a bit curious, it feels like the universe meets you way, way, way more than halfway. And there isn't half as much for you to do as it feels like. So, you know, if you are the kind of person that gets angry and feels like things are, you know, are unjust in the world, if you are open and ready to be curious about that, is there a different way to see this? Is there a more healthy way for you and the people that you are angry with? And I think when we kind of ask those questions, you know, ask them of God, the universe, that space inside us, whatever makes sense to you, and again get curious about, how do I do that? It just feels like this whole thing is, it's a personal journey, and if you start to look, you will know. And it feels to me that those questions honestly asked from an open mind never get ignored. They always get answered. And it's very, very, you know, they could be answered in the most strangest of ways. You maybe pick up a book and read something that means something to you. Something might just occur to you, come into your mind. A friend might say something to you, or, you know, invite you somewhere. So it shows up in all sorts of weird and wonderful ways. But when we are prepared to just take the smallest of steps and get curious, you would be surprised what shows up.
I was laughing because as you were saying that, I was like, oh, the way I do it, something really funny happened last night. I have a notebook, and when I've got something like that, for me, I feel very comfortable with God. You know, that makes perfect sense to me. But if that is uncomfortable, you know, substitute with universe. That's but I write on my notepad if I've got kind of something I'm thinking, oh, I want this is something that's tugging at me. I kind of write, dear God, and then I write my question out, or I write something out. And I had to, I got annoyed actually last night because I started, and before I'd finished writing my question, the answer came into my head, and I was like, damn it, now I've wasted a piece of paper. I can't even finish my question. And it is, for me, I mean, it's funny now, but at the time I was like, oh, didn't even get to finish asking the question. And that to me is what we're pointing to here, is that when we kind of get clear and open about what it is we're kind of looking to see differently, answers come. And I'm not guaranteeing they'll come before you've managed to write the question, and that hasn't happened in that way for me before, but it starts to happen. The universe starts to answer us in all sorts of ways. And for me, it seems to just pop into my head. It doesn't always come as like, in a song or on a webinar or something. It sometimes just literally pops into my head. And I've noticed that what happens sometimes is it comes into my head and I think, oh, that came into my head, so it can't be that answer. I'll go and look somewhere else. It can't be that easy. But what if it is? Like, what if it's that easy, that the universe is set up in such a way that we don't even need to go out looking for it on, out there in some magical format? What if it just comes into our head when we're kind of open to hearing it? And I play around with that, because I notice that when it comes into my head and I kind of sit for a minute and go, is that actually the answer? Is that what I'm looking at? Is it that simple? And I can tell when it really is. Like, I can feel that in me. I'm like, yeah, that was it. And I have a moment sometimes thinking, damn it, how can it be that easy and that simple and feel that, uncomplicated? And yet it can be. So it's very much like Deb said, it starts with awareness of, yeah, I get angry and I hide that. I don't know.
Yeah,
new way.
I really didn't know I was that angry. As I started picking at it, it was like, my job, like, oh, do I really want to be doing this kind of work? But I have lovely clients I work with, and my boss is very sweet. He never says no to anything I ask. It's just amazing. No, he's really kind, and he always says thank you, like, thank you for working for me, and so just so full gratitude.
You've got a really nice boss.
And it just made me realise, like, just have gratitude for yourself, and the good job I do, and my clients say thank you to me as well. And it's like, just be humble, not be, like, get down on your knee, there's that perception of being humble, but just be gentle and just let life be as it is. And to be honest, and I used to come home and think, I'm really tired, and just stay in my room all night. And then Saturday morning, I thought, no, I'm going to go out, I'm going to be sociable. Went out, my two housemates looked at me like, Ines, we've got a question. So I was a bit like, oh God. Like, would you like to go to the theatre with us for your birthday? Like, we'd like to take you to the theatre. I was just like, oh my God, I was like completely overwhelmed. And I tell you what, it's been like that the last couple of weeks. I didn't have any holidays planned. I've now got 3 in the last few days.
See, magic can happen.
Completely. Just by letting it be. As I've said before, I get quite frustrated about the mess in the kitchen and the house in general, and I don't care, someone will do it, no one else is bothered, and we're going to have a pancake party, and you can imagine the mess of that.
We're going to have
great,
we're going to have pancakes after the webinar. So
yeah, where do you live? We'll be round at 7.
Okay. Very welcome.
Brilliant. Thank you, Ines. That's great.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions or anything they want to share on this topic?
Oh, quite a lot, aren't they, tonight?
Yeah. We could practice for the silent retreat.
We could, yeah.
Well, while you're all thinking of really clever questions to ask us, we could tell you a little bit about Relationship School, because that's our program that's coming up in April and May, and it fits in quite nicely off the back of the Self Love Challenge. So we thought maybe we'd share a little bit with you guys about that. And if you're on our mailing list, which I think, I'm just looking around who's on the call, most of you are, and if you're watching this and you're not yet, you can sign up to that.
And I know some of them on here are already in relationships.
Well, yeah, maybe some of them already are. But yeah, if you're interested, we can tell you a little bit about Relationship School. And on the mailing list, we're sending out offers to join up for a reduced rate, because it's the first time we've done Relationship School, but we are planning to do it 2 or 3 times a year after this one. So it's worth getting in now, because yeah, it's going to be good and growing it together. So do you want to share a little bit, Deb? Because I think it was your baby, kind of something that grew from what you wanted to do, I think.
I mean, the area in which my life just didn't work and the whole thing crashed was all around relationships. You know, I just couldn't seem to. Other people just seemed like, you know, the world would be fine if there weren't these other people there that just did stupid things and annoyed me and upset me, and, you know, wouldn't do things that I thought they should do, or the way that I thought they should do it. And I got really, really confused and really, really lost, and I struggled in my relationship with my husband, and I struggled with my relationship with my children, and I just struggled in that way. You know, other people just looked difficult to me. I couldn't understand why they did the things that they did. And then when I came across this understanding, everything fell into place. Everything started to make sense. I could really see, you know, why other people saw things differently to me and did things differently to me. And I could understand why I had done the things that I had done. You know, I could understand why I hadn't always been kind and always been nice and always done the things that I would have hoped I'd have done, really. I think most of us want to be nice people. I don't know about you, but when I get in a really low mood and when I'm really confused and I'm really upset, I'm not always that nice. And I didn't like the fact that I wasn't nice, and I didn't really understand why I wasn't, and I didn't understand, you know, why this had all gone so horribly wrong. And when I came across this understanding, and it just made everything make sense to me. And also, you know, this other thing that we've been talking about on the call tonight, the fact that there's an intelligence in this universe that is on our side, that is kind of rooting for us, if you like, and always kind of putting things out there for us, no matter how many mistakes we make, no matter how wrong we go, no matter how badly we mess up, no matter what we do, again and again and again, we are just given the gift to see, given the gift to see life differently, to do something different, to have a different experience. And I just think that is amazing. I just think it is beautiful. And I guess Relationship School for me is about all the things that I wish I had known about relationships, how they worked. And it looks to me like life is all about how we relate to stuff, everything, people, our money, our jobs. You know, we just relate to everything, don't we? And when we've kind of got a fundamental misunderstanding of how that works, or certain things that look as if they fall outside of the principles, you know, they look as if they fall outside of this understanding, it can get really, really confusing. So Relationship School, we are going to answer every relationship question that you could possibly ask. We're not scared. We're going to go anywhere with this that you want to go. No holds barred. You know, we will talk about anything. And then it has some practical ways, the way that it actually works. And maybe you want to talk about some of the practical,
the practical bit's more my side, isn't it? So practically speaking, the way Relationship School is going to work, this is a program that we're going to run 2 or 3 times a year. So the first thing to know is, once you sign up and register, you can register every single time we run it for no extra cost. So you'll just keep coming back in and joining in.
One-off payment.
So yeah, it's a one-off payment, and then you're in for life. You can't get away from us.
Sorry guys.
But what the way that we're running it is, there's lots and lots of content already available in Relationship School, and that content will be available for all, you know, all.
Always and forever.
Always, thank you. I was tripping in my words there. Always and forever. And then for 2 months at a time, we'll actually make the school live. And during the live periods, we'll have some live calls that are recorded if you can't make them live, and lots of interaction on an online forum, so you can ask questions and have answers from us live there and then. And then the content that's available, we're putting together some amazing stuff. So we've got some fantastic interviews with other people that we know talk really beautifully about relationships in various different ways. We've got some frequently asked questions. So all the kind of questions that we get about relationships regularly, we've actually done some videos answering those questions. We've got some core videos, some really kind of key, what is this understanding and what does that have to do with relationships videos. What else is happening? There's a relationship manual ebook, and then there's some kind of self-study part of the program as well, so there's some stuff you can kind of work your way through by yourself, just little bits and pieces in there. And we're just, as this grows, we're just going to keep adding some great content, and so like I say, if you're in from the beginning with the offers that we're putting out, you'll be in at a really good rate right from the go. And each time we run the school, you can register to join us for the live part of the school for no extra cost. So it's going to be amazing, and it starts live from the 6th of April, but there's content already there. If you want to go and kind of register and sign up now, you can do that, and it's already there, and you can start playing around and having some fun.
And also, you know, one of the things that we really like to do, like we did with the 5 days, is interact with you. Yeah. So if there's something that you feel is missing here, or something, you know, we could add that you really like, or something that we could do differently, something's not working for you, then we would, you know, tell us. This is, you know, for you as well. We would really like you to get something from this. So yeah, feel free to tell us if we are doing anything, you know, and you feel there's anything we could do better, or you feel there's something that we can add to what it is we're doing.
Yep. So while we were yapping about that, did anyone else have any other questions about the kind of self-love challenge, or just relationships, self-love, life in general? We'll take any questions.
So good at answering everything, obviously.
We've obviously answered it all. There's nothing left that they don't know. No, all very quiet.
They are. This is very good, isn't it? Obviously, everyone's just being zen.
Yeah, we were very jokingly at the retreat talking about an A to Z of the principles, and Z was for Zen.
Yeah, when you reach Z, that's when you're Zen.
You've made it, you've cracked it, you're Zen.
Yeah, one of the topics that we talked about, well, the retreat was actually called Love is the Answer. And yeah, so we kind of were talking about that, and talking a lot about love and
acceptance.
Yeah, acceptance.
Big word at the retreat.
And surrender. We touched on surrender as well, didn't we? It's something that we've been looking at, because it feels, there's a description of love, I think it's in the Bible, talking, you know, love is kind, love isn't after anything, it's not, you know, trying to get something, it's not, you probably remember the verse better than I do. I can't remember it now. It's coming to me.
Love is kind. Love doesn't boast. It's all the kind of things that if you actually sat for a minute and thought about what love was, we kind of know what it is. We kind of know that it's this beautiful space that we come from, and we're nice to ourselves. We're nice to other people.
And all of that is, you know, that is our true nature. That is what is inside us. That is what, when we look past the thinking that we have that gets us tangled up, that gets us into trouble, that makes relationships difficult, that makes other people look annoying and frustrating, and as if they're doing things that they shouldn't do, as if the world is an unfair, unjust place. You know, if we're seeing any of that, that's the kind of thinking that we have on top of our true nature, that deeper, truer place within us. And I think the more that we touch that place within us, the more that we go there, somehow, you know, we don't have to do anything. It's who we are. It's within us. You know, all the love that we ever feel comes from within us. It's not to do with anyone else. It's not to do with anything that's going on. And so we have that available to us within us always, at all times. And to me, part of this understanding has kind of shown me how to touch that space way, way more often. And it feels when I touch that space, the only good things can come from that. You know, when I'm out in the world, then when I've just freshly touched that space, I feel much more loving, I feel much more giving, I feel much more tolerant of other people. So knowing that that is within all people at all times, and seeing that, beginning to see that in yourself, beginning to know that, and then beginning to know that about other people, that's had a huge impact on my relationships. I mean, I was away, obviously, at the retreat all over the weekend, and I came back and my daughter wanted me to see her, and I'd got a few things that I had to do and I hadn't got time, and she got a little bit upset that I couldn't go straight away to see her, and she was kind of reacting to me in a little bit of an upset way. And then to bring myself back to love and to know, you know, instead of me seeing her with frustration and annoyance because that's what she was doing, I could see what was going on for her. She was having thinking that looked really real to her. And I could see that the same thing, you know, when I was getting frustrated, that was what was happening to me. She's up against the same thing I am. And I thought, so, okay, bring yourself back to that place. What's that place within you that you can touch that's just that pure love? And just kind of doing that and quietening down a little bit, and then answered her really nicely, and it all sort of resolved itself as these things do. And what I can see for me is that is a huge, huge difference, because what would have happened before was I'd have got annoyed with her and not understood why she couldn't see, you know, why couldn't she see the way that I was thinking? Why couldn't she see that I'm right, that this is, you know, this is how it is, this is what was going on for me? And it's like, why doesn't she see that? Why doesn't she know that? Why doesn't she respect me? Why does blah, 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 blah. You know, our minds can do this really quickly and really easily. And then it's kind of just knowing, what's that place inside me of love? Ground myself again, come back there. What would love do? What am I seeing now? How can I see this differently? And it wasn't even, I didn't have to do a huge thing. I didn't have to overcome anything. Just kind of seeing like that allowed me, it opened something up in me to see it differently, and then to react differently, and then to message differently. And I can see now, you know, my relationships with all sorts of people are so much better from that place. So. So I'm going to ask one more time if anyone has got any.
Oh, yes. Oh, Inez is back. Go, Inez.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. So, today has been quite a day, because well, it's my birthday tomorrow, and
Happy birthday.
Thank you. But a couple of weeks ago, just parted with my boyfriend for a couple of weeks, and yeah, he rang me today, and we got together, and he decided that we should just be friends, and that was a massive deal. He's kind of been in my life for a long time, but I processed a lot of it, but it was such a relief. But as he was saying, I see where he's coming from. This guy is so detached from love from so many years. He's 60, he was 60 last year, and, you know, I mean, it's very sad, so sad. In his personal life, he doesn't know how to love. You know, he has such a distance from it. But so I still care for him, you know, I mean, you know, but I didn't go, well, this and that, and you're this and that, and point fingers, and, you know, you need to do this and that, you know, because I know through my own, you know, path to get here has taken me a very long time. And, you know, you need to be gentle. You know, what's the point in criticising and say, well, we don't get on, we don't need to be in a relationship because of X, Y, and Z. I mean, it's just, I don't see it as fruitful at all. You know?
It's huge when we can be kind in that way, and it makes a massive difference, doesn't it, when we can just be kind to ourselves and be kind to other people in that way. It's huge, it's life-changing. It makes such a difference when we can react in a slightly different way, and that's just, you know, the proof of how our minds can open and how we can see something in a situation that would have always looked a certain way to us, that it's available, that we can see that situation differently. And it just shows, you know, that is always true and that is always available to us. So those moments when things just look like that, they look solid, they look like brick wall, looks like that's the way it is, it's really good to kind of know that we can, human beings are wired to have insights. We are wired to see things differently. And when we do, we get an entirely different experience of life.
My only thing is that I don't like hurting people and being like, oh, okay, that's fine, and just kind of, you know, cleaning my hands of him and stuff. So yeah, it's understanding where my boundaries and where my, you know, thinking, oh no, but I must make sure he's okay, you know, because I've done that so many times, you know.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm going to have to listen very hard.
Yeah,
one baby step at a time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you, Inez.
Thank you.
Has anyone got anything else? Oh, Frank's got his hand up. Go, Frank.
I just wanted to say I'm loving the insights from Inez today. They're really nice. Thank you, Inez.
Oh, thanks,
Yeah,
Frank.
thanks, Frank.
Yeah, it's cool. It is, you know, when we share things with other people, we can see our own version of that, can't we? Even if the details of what, you know, how we do things is slightly different, we can see nearly always when people say things, what's going through my mind is, yeah, me too. And the fact that we can have insights, you know, all of us, every human being, insights are always available to all of us. And sometimes it can feel as if other people get all the insights. You know, if you go back to that, it's not fair, can't we? Feels like other people get all of the good insights and I don't. Where's mine? But it's nice to know, yeah, they're always available to all of us. We sometimes don't recognize them in ourselves, but they're there and it's happening and it's going on. And it might be small steps, but it's there.
And just when somebody shares an insight and you always get that nice feeling from the insight, it's becoming your insight too, in a way. So I love the sharing thing of what we do on these get-togethers. That's really powerful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful community to be a part of, isn't it? And we love having you with us, Frank. And you, Inez. Well, all of you. All of you.
So should we name them each individually?
We have to, in case we miss anyone out. Everybody. We love you all.
And that, you know, and to me, that's what all of these things are that we do. We're building kind of a community, a space where people, and that is what blew me away about the 5-day challenge that we did. There were so many people that kind of, when somebody commented and shared something, 3 or 4 other people would come in and go, yeah, me too. I get what you're saying there. I've had the same. Keep going. This is, you know, and that just, it's amazing to me that we do that. And that's absolutely what we're kind of building here. So,
and we started that, and we do this because us too.
Yeah.
You know, that we're no different. It's not, you know, just so happens we started doing this, but that's it really. You know, we're not different. There's nothing, and one of the reasons, you know, why we started Relationship School and wanted to do that is because we have both had real struggles and real difficulties around that. And then it's really, really nice. Like you say, Frank, you know, we've had huge insights that have just been and some of them have been teeny weeny, but also massively life-changing. You know, insights are funny things. They come in all shapes and sizes and kind of show you all sorts of things. But it's just been so wonderful for us to have that and to have that experience. It just doesn't feel, I can't keep that to myself, and I don't think you can either, can you? It's kind of like, hey guys, guess what, you know, there's this, it's great, join us.
Unlike my cream egg, which I can keep to myself. Yeah.
Oh, Helen,
go.
can you unmute yourself, or do you want us to do it?
Yeah. I was just going to say about the 5-day challenge. I think what it does, it was just a bit of reflection about it, was there aren't many, without these sort of questions, we can all go on, or certainly I can in life, and not even think about things like that. So what your questions do, we think, oh, you know, it sparks that, oh my gosh, never even thought about that. And also a few friends that, you know, who are in it as well, we can say, well, what, you know, the discussions sort of spark more discussion.
Yeah.
So I think what that does, rather than just drifting along in our life and going along, that, you know, there aren't many people around sometimes that challenge your thinking, you know, and this is lovely because you can do it, you know, online, you can think about it during the day, and it just helps to, you know, just change, you know, your views. And I can't really explain it any better than that, but I think it's really lovely. It's really good, even if it's very difficult, because some of them I just thought, well, I have no idea what I'm going to do for that. You know, rolling up and down, and, you know, and then Lucy put something really powerful and personal, and I put something really dross and boring, you know, but it's I think it's a brilliant challenge for all of us to, the questions that you ask us, I think are very good.
Oh, thank you. That's
Thank
really
you.
sweet. And I'd like to challenge your thinking there,
Yeah,
that
that's
you
what
are
I was going to do.
dross and boring, but
more.
you know.
More story, because I thought it was fascinating that you made necklaces.
We were all like, oh my gosh, does she? How do we find out more about that? We did.
Sorry?
Get my jewellery making going again.
Yeah.
This
That's
is it.
just another story that it was a boring thing to share.
And that's what we like, isn't it? We share those, we have that thinking, and that's what it is all about, shaking that thinking up a little bit. Just taking another look at it and seeing, maybe we're not seeing the only thing that is to be seen here, or that, you know, that might look like, oh yeah, that's just a truth, and what if it's not? And just kind of questioning that and beginning to see, do you know what, this world, this life can be what we make it, and we don't have to be dross and boring. We can be exciting.
And I just spotted Mark.
Yeah, it's just
hi,
hovering over the
Mark.
back of them. We've got 2 Marks now.
We've got 2 Marks
next to each other. Mark, that's Mark.
Yeah,
Mark, that's Mark.
They might not be in the same place as on our screen.
Oh, right, okay.
Mark 1.
You came on second.
I don't mind being Mark 2.
He's Mark 1.
Isn't Mark 2 the more modernised and updated version? All marks are equal in my eyes. To be frank, all marks are equal.
What about Frank?
Oh no, Frank's way ahead.
Frank's above you, literally, on our screen.
Yeah, Frank is above the marks on our screen. No, it's great to have you guys with us. It's just lovely. So, has anyone got anything else they would like to share, or, you know,
or is it time for pancakes?
Yeah, or is it time to go and make some pancakes?
Something came to me today, and it was like, I don't know, I was listening to Sid Banks again, as usual, and then I got this fear, it was something came to that we're all looking through God's eyes, and I thought, wow, how good's that?
I love it.
It's a good one, ain't it? You can have that.
Good one, yeah. You're a good Mark. you get top marks. Top mark. No, that's amazing, and it is, isn't it? We can, and I think that's what it. When we begin to know ourselves, that's what we begin to see, isn't it? That we have God's eyes and God's ears and God's senses, and that's what we're exploring this world with. And it's easy, like when the thing that we read from the Tao of Pooh, we read this thing at the retreat from the Tao of Pooh, and it said, you know, human beings are just very easy. They've got a brain and they forget their true nature. They forget that they're looking through God's eyes and hearing with God's ears. So it's nice. Thank you for reminding us of that.
And also looking through God's eyes and seeing God
yeah,
there as well.
through God's eyes.
From
And what are we looking at, God? Yeah. Brilliant, brilliant.
I'll just leave you with that.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.
Offering for his tea now.
Yeah, we're going to go and get our pancakes now as well, I think.
It's pancake time in our household now.
It is. So thank you so much for joining us for the webinar tonight, guys.
Yeah.
It was really, really great to have you with us. And if any of that has raised any questions for you, you know, about the self-love, about relationships, schools, anything else that we're doing, anything we can make a video on, anything we can do on YouTube, we're always around. So, you know, be in touch. Don't be a stranger. We love you.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.